Hurricane Sandy started in the Caribbean Sea as a tropical depression on October 22nd, 2012. By the 23rd and the 24th, the strong 70 miles per hour winds nearly classified it as a hurricane, but on October 25th, Sandy reached wind speeds of 105 miles per hour, classifying it as a Category 2 hurricane. The hurricane's path was heading for up towards the east coast of the United States, and it took a turn towards New Jersey. Nearly 80 people died in the Caribbean from the impact of Sandy, which also caused destruction to many homes. Streets were covered and buildings were torn from the winds and rain brought by Sandy, which left many civilians without homes. These intense rains also caused massive floods amongst the streets, which caused major damage to the surrounding peoples and buildings. Hurricane Sandy's major impact was on the east coast of the United States and the New Jersey coast and in New York. Most of the 200 deaths caused by Sandy were in these areas, as well as most of the damage. Over $50 billion in damage were due to Sandy in 15 states across the United States. People were left without power for weeks in some. Due to flooding, the stock market had closed for 2 days, and over 15,000 flights were canceled. Sandy caused damage to homes, buildings, businesses, and the famous boardwalk of Seaside Heights. With most of the damage done just by winds alone, the devastation was still one of the hardest weather-related disasters since Katrina. Hurricane Sandy is also the second most destructive hurricane behind Hurricane Katrina. The famous boardwalk of Seaside Heights had been home to entertainment on the Jersey Shore since the 1920s. With games, shops, and even some rides, including a Ferris wheel, the boardwalk was one of Jersey's landmarks. When Sandy struck and had left, the boardwalk was destroyed. A great local hotspot was completely defaced by the hurricane. Hurricane Sandy also caused numerous amounts of flooding across the coast as well, from flooding buildings and businesses to homes and neighborhoods. Sandy also caused mass amounts of flooding in the subway systems of the Jersey and New York area. The floods amounted to long-lasting damage in the area, which caused for massive amounts of reconstruction, leaving the area in shock. Many areas along the New Jersey coast are possible floodplains, but the major areas of flooding risk lie along the coast. As Sandy developed into a hurricane, the path was mapped from satellites in space. There are many ways to mitigate the damage of hurricanes. Although you can never stop a hurricane from coming, you can certainly reduce the damage to people and property in many cases. Make sure your family has an exit plan for any last minute encounters. Listening to news and watching for the storm warnings coming. For public safety and power loss prevention, try to avoid putting power lines by trees. In conclusion, Hurricane Sandy was a Category 3 hurricane that started off as a tropical depression in the Caribbean Sea. Once the hurricane struck the Caribbean nations, nearly 80 people were killed, leaving millions without power. After regaining strength in the Atlantic Ocean, the hurricane struck North America in New Jersey. In the 15 states the hurricane affected, nearly 200 people were killed, and millions upon millions were left without power. This storm caused over $50 billion of damage to the United States.